All right, so I'd like to start. So I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about this international program and what exactly it is that we do here. Because you see it a lot in brochures and pamphlets and websites, but it's really difficult to try to find the exact kind of information that you need exactly to be able to make that kind of decision. So that's the kind of exact problem that I had when I was in high school 3 years ago. So hopefully today I'll be able to clarify a lot of those things in this presentation today. Right, so today I'll be talking a little bit about who I am, first of all, and what I'm here to do exactly, and then a little bit about why you should choose this university, or what's in it for you guys, and some little bits and pieces about life at this university and what exactly that we do here, and some final advice at the end. All right, so a little bit about me and who I am, first of all. This is my family, it's me, and if you play a little game of Spot the Civil Engineer, that's me right there. I'm a civil engineer right now in the third year. And so that's me right there. That's my family. That's my brother right there. He's also a civil engineer. And that's my dad right back there. He's also a civil engineer. And my two uncles, also civil engineers. And my grandpa right there is also a civil engineer. And actually, if you trace back to my roots, to my ancestors, they're actually also all civil engineers. So I'm pretty much growing up in this family of civil engineers. So yeah, I used to wake up almost every day. And I used to watch my dad, and he'd be working on his computer, and I'd peek over his shoulder, and he'd be designing a bridge, or he'd be designing like a tunnel, or like a highway. That was always pretty cool. So, my field of interest, I guess, ever since I was small, was always in civil engineering. And so, where do I come from? I come from a country called Nepal, which is right down there. It's a tiny little country right between India and China. And just out of curiosity, is there anybody here today who's from Nepal? Nobody from Nepal today? Anybody from India? All right, so that's good. Of course, thank you. All right, so in Nepal, actually, in 2015, there was a massive earthquake, and it was a magnitude 8 earthquake, and it was pretty devastating because you had all these buildings that just collapsed because of their terrible, terrible design. And so that's why right now I'm here at this university, and I'm studying kind of the dynamic response of steel and concrete structures. So my dream right now is actually not to become a civil engineer as a worker, but actually to become a professor in civil engineering, so to be able to teach these kind of things to students as well. So that's also one of the reasons why I chose Japan as a country, because it's really strong in terms of earthquake engineering. But in terms of other things, other reasons why I chose Japan as a country, because you hear about it all the time. You hear about how convenient this country is, and you hear about how safe it is. And you never really get bored here. There's always something to do. It's really exciting as well. And so I've never really been disappointed in this country. And I'm sure that most of you guys have lived here for at least a few years or know what this country is like. So I'll just skip over this part really briefly, because the main thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is why you should join this university, or what's really in it for you guys. And so, when you're trying to choose a university, you might be inclined to think like, am I going to be smarter at this university, or am I going to learn a lot more at this university compared to the other? And that's a really difficult kind of question to answer, because you never really know. You can't really look at the courses. You can't really just look at the syllabus and say, I'm going to learn more here. There's so many other factors that determine how well you're going to do at a university. And one of those things is diversity, because you hear about it all the time. You hear diversity, but why do we actually talk about this word diversity so much is one thing that I wanted to ask you guys. So this is my question to you guys, is why do we care about this word diversity so much? Because I'm sure you guys have heard it in pamphlets and brochures all the time, right? You guys hear it a lot. But why do we care about this word so much? Can anybody in this room tell me why we care about this word so much, diversity? Why is it so important to us? Can anybody tell me? Just shout it out if you guys know the answer. Why do we care about this word diversity so much? Can anybody tell me why? You want to take any guesses about why we care about this word diversity so much? Anybody have any guesses? Why? Because I'm sure you guys have heard it, right? You guys have heard it a lot in brochures, pamphlets, websites. You see it all the time. But why do we care about this word so much? Can anybody give me an answer to that? Anybody want to take any guesses on why? You guys don't have to be shy, Why do we care about this word so much? Anybody in the front row want to take any guesses? You guys look kind of nervous. Sorry, can you tell me why? Why do you think we care about this word diversity so much?
So you're exposed to different cultures.
Right, exactly. Thank you guys so much. So that's the exact answer that I was looking for. So that's cultural diversity right there. Thank you so much. This kind of makes it look like it was kind of scripted. But no, it's a cultural diversity, right? You're exposed to these different kind of cultures, and that makes sense, right? Because as a person, you want to grow as well. You want to learn about different cultures. You want to figure out what this world is outside yourself, right? But there's a more kind of important thing that I wanted to get to, and that was called academic diversity. So that's more important to you guys as engineers, as scientists, because when you're in engineering or when you're in science and engineering, you're always going to be faced with a problem, right? And when you're trying to solve a problem, there's going to be more than one way of solving that problem. So when you're in this kind of culturally diverse and academic diverse kind of background, you're gonna meet people from different backgrounds who can think differently, who can kind of solve these problems differently, right? So that's the kind of environment that you want to be in, so you can learn from these people as well. So when you're in an environment where you have over 850 international students and when you have people from over 50 different nationalities, that's the kind of ideal environment you want to be in to learn from these people and kind of absorb this kind of information. Right? Because when you're in high school, you have all these friends who can do different things, but when you're in science and engineering and when you're in university, you have these different people who can think and solve the same kind of problem in different ways. So ideally, that's the kind of environment that you want to be in. So just to introduce to you a few of my friends. That's my friend from civil engineering. He's from Korea. And so his way of thinking is very intuitive, and he's very a quick kind of thinker. Right? He can solve problems very quickly, but it's very risky as well. And compared to him, I'm more of kind of an orthodox kind of person, and I have a set of equations that always works. Right? But obviously, it takes a little bit longer. Right? So when you're trying to solve a single problem, there's these different kind of approaches. And I know it's a simple kind of example, but this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Is if you have a problem in chemistry, you don't know how to solve it. If you have any questions in programming or anything about Japanese culture, or whenever you just want to learn about Japanese language as well, you know exactly who to go to. Right? So you're exposed to this kind of diverse environment where you have people from different backgrounds, different academic and cultural backgrounds. So you know exactly who to rely on. Because when you're in university, honestly, you absolutely cannot do everything by yourself. Right? You need to be able to learn to rely on these people as well. So that's enough about diversity. The other thing that I want to talk about is about the professors, about the engineering professors. And I'll just introduce to you a few of my professors really quickly. And these are the ones that especially kind of influenced me the most. But especially this one professor in particular, Professor Lin Weiwei. He's my professor in civil engineering. And so his way of teaching is very interesting because the way that he teaches is that sadly one day or another, whether we like it or not, all of us are going to die. But the way that we teach, the things that we teach, the research that we do, those are the things that don't die. Those are the things that get left behind, right? Those are the things that gets passed on. So it's one thing to be able to say that, and it's a completely different thing to be able to teach like that, because he gives us the responsibilities as engineers. So he doesn't prepare us for tests. He doesn't prepare us for exams. He prepares us for becoming engineers in the future. And ideally, that's the kind of environment that you want to be in. Right? And just think back to your high school days where you had that one teacher that everybody talked about, not because their classes were easy, but because he genuinely cared about you, right? So he cared about your learning. Right? So those are the kind of professors that you'll find here at this university. They care about you, they care about your future, and they also care about what they teach as well. And on top of that, they're very friendly, they're very approachable, and they're very easy to talk to as well. So you can talk to them about your academics, you can talk to them about your career life, you can talk to them about your personal life as well, and they're pretty much get onto it. They'll ask you questions and they'll help you out. And so there's plenty other professors out there, so all you have to do is be able to reach out to them. So that's enough about this university and why you should come here, but a little bit more about what life is like here. So I just want to talk about the academics and the credits really quickly, and just be careful though, this is how it was for me. So it depends on you, depends on your department, and it depends on how hard you want to work as well. But this is how it was for me. So the general kind of overall, I guess, flow of the credits is that in your first year, you're taking kind of the foundation classes, I guess, the basic kind of mathematics, chemistry, the biology classes. And in your second year, this was kind of the biggest hurdle for me. I took one of the most difficult classes there. And in your third year is mostly kind of like, I guess, specialized courses or laboratory courses. So this is generally how it is for people. And so just some of the classes that I took here, some of the engineering classes that I took here was, you can read those really quickly. I'm not going to explain all of them, but one of the most interesting ones that I took was this one called partial differential equations, and it was one of the most difficult. It was one of the most painful classes as well, but also one of the most interesting. It's not a civil engineering course, it's a mathematics course. And my advice to you is that if you're going to come to this university, don't bother taking the easy classes because it doesn't make sense because you're here already. So might as well take the classes that interest you first of all, and even the ones that are difficult. So just try it out. Just some of the non-engineering courses that I took. I took some classes in law, in politics. I took this one in history of the Middle East about like Syria and Iraq and ISIS and stuff like that. I took class in boxing and about Japanese. There's plenty of interesting courses you can take. So my point is, you're not restricted to engineering, right? You're not stuck here in this campus, because usually people, when they come here, they think, oh, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be stuck here all day, and I'm going to be studying all day, but that's not true at all. All you have to do is be able to find these kind of courses and do what really interests you. So you can, step outside this campus anytime you want to as well, right? Just about personal life, I'm a part of this volunteer circle right now. And so what I do is I work with kids in Nepal and with schools in Nepal as well. So what I do is I take these kind of science experiments back to Nepal, because in Nepal you don't really have the chance to do these kind of experiments. You're mostly studying for exams and tests. So what I try to do is to try to teach these students, the joys of, I guess, experimentation. So my point to you is that you can do pretty much whatever interests you, because you're bound to find at least one circle, or at least one club activity that interests you, right? And so there's a lot of interesting ones. One of the ones that I heard recently was there's a girl here at the back over there. She's learning fin swimming, right? I believe fin swimming, right? So I've never really exactly heard about these things, but there's always a club or some kind of circle that has exactly what interests you guys. About part-time jobs and what I do outside of this university, I'm an English teacher, so I teach kids as well. I teach adults, so I teach people of all ages. And so my point to you here is that, there's so many things outside this university. There's so many things outside of just academics that you have to be able to balance out as well. So I'm sure you guys don't need me to tell you that. So I'll just go over to the little end right there. Just some final advice, just to wrap it up really, really quickly. The rule of 4, please keep in mind these 4 things. I talked about these 4 things today. So I talked about diversity. Ideally you want to be in the kind of environment where you can learn from different people as well. You want to be in the kind of environment where you have this kind of diverse environment where you can absorb information, absorb these kind of methods from different people as well. And on top of that, you want to be in an environment where you have these professors who actually care about you and who you can rely on as well, and people who care about your future, right? And some little things about academics, just about not taking the easy classes, taking the classes that actually interest you, and taking the classes that actually challenge you as well. And some little bits and pieces about personal life and how you should be able to balance that out as well, I guess. So when I was asked to do this presentation, there's this one thing that I should give an advice, I guess, to you guys. But there's so many things I wanted to say, but I boiled it down to this one thing. And please, please, please keep this in mind, no matter where you go, is don't be idle. Right? Don't sit back at the class. Just don't stand still. Always try to do things. I guess is the only piece of advice that I can give you guys. If you guys have a question inside a classroom, just raise your hand. If you want to meet your professors, meet them. And if you want to learn from your friends, go ask them for help. Right? Don't just sit around and don't try to lock yourself up in your own shell. I guess is the best piece of advice I can give you guys. So always don't let these kind of chances just pass by you. Right? Always make the best of it. And so that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for listening. That's my address right there. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can ask me anytime. Or there's also the individual consultations at the end, so you guys can also ask questions there. But right, I hope to see you guys sometime soon again. Even if it's not at this university, I hope to see you guys somewhere down the road as future civil engineers or just scientists in general. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I wish you guys the best of luck in your future. All right, thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you very much for giving us a really great presentation. I hope it was extremely helpful for students. Now, the last part is the model lecture by the Professor Kaname Orihara, the School of Advanced Science and Engineering.